Hello, everyone, and this is NLP Radio on Stream. Today in our studio, we are having a new guest, Catherine Vilkul Anishchenko. She will say in a couple of minutes who she is and what she does, and me, a presenter of NLP Radio, a linguist, a philologist, Olga Sarkisova. Hello, Ekaterina.
Hello, Olga. Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Vilkul, and I'm an NLP master, an emotional and image therapist, and a hypnotherapist. These are the three qualifications I used combined to assist my clients in reaching their life goals. And I'm really grateful to you, Olga, and to Alexander for having me here. And to you, dear listeners, for sparing your time with us now.
Ekaterina, you started such a professional way, actually. Usually our guests are more relaxed and they are expecting questions more from our side, but you started in such a professional way. Wow, that was impressive. I really feel that I'm with a professional. I'm in good, reliable hands. Today, I'd like to say to our listeners that we are just two of us in our studio, without gentlemen today. Only Ekaterina and me. And the topic, let me introduce the topic. The topic we are going to discuss is, as far as I understand, hypnosis. It's going to be hypnosis. Sounds threatening. Ekaterina, would you please say a few words about it? What is actually hypnosis?
Yeah. Of course, but before I start, I'd like to ask you a question. What actually comes up to your mind when you hear this word? And what associations does this word trigger for you? And our dear listeners, now you can really put this podcast on hold and there in comments, write down the three first things you think of when you hear hypnosis. And while our listeners are commenting, I'd like to ask you, Olga, what are your associations with this word?
Okay, as for me, hypnosis is associated with something magic, something from movies and books, something maybe mysterious. Okay, magic, mystery, some kind of tricks. Maybe when one is not expecting to perform some kind of actions with him, which will in the future lead to some magic effects. For instance, to force someone do something he was not intending to do. Something like this. For example, to make someone close his eyes, to tell him, open the umbrella, then he will wake up, stand up, and unexpectedly for himself, in the center of the room, in a sunny day, open the umbrella, and will never know why he actually has done it. Something like that, you could see. Maybe very primitive imagination.
Well, as I found out when hearing hypnosis, most people really quite frequently think of something like that. It's some manipulations. Some people think of sleep. Some remember about pendulum or even healing. And some of them think of trance. And most of the people of the post-Soviet Union countries think of Kashpirovsky and Chumak. These were quite popular hypnotists of the age.
Katerin, and for those listeners who are not from Russia, who are not Russian speaking, would you probably not remind, but even introduce who actually was Kashpirovsky and what was his activity? What such impressive things did he actually do to people, to crowds of people? Why is he so well known?
Yeah, I think that is the main reason of his popularity is that he had the access to the mass media. He was one of the first hypnotists who performed on TV. So as far as I remember, I was quite young then, but as far as I remember, he had such a sort of schedule, and he was on the program, and he told everyone, put your water, puts a glass of water in front of the television, and he used to charge that water with some positive energy, with some health, with the wealth, with everything. And you know what is the most interesting thing? That this whole process, these manipulations, they used to work for so many people. I think that was sort of really, that is why he was so popular. I think that was sort of a placebo effect or self-suggestion. But if you believe in something that really works for you, if you don't, it won't. Even if it is proved with facts, with science, with whatever, all the doctors will tell you it's a good medicine, for example, but you don't believe it. I doubt it will work. It could work, but 1% or 100. So that is why people, the whole country, the Soviet Union, most people believed, old ladies believed, young people believed, and it worked for them. Maybe not with serious cases, maybe not with surgery, I think so. Yeah, that is why he was so popular and for such a long time.
Very, very influential guy. He was very influential. Yeah. Now we are talking. I'm having a screen in front of me from where I also hear your voice, Ekaterina, as our talk in the studio is also being recorded at the moment. And I'm having my cup of coffee. I'm thinking of probably placing it in front of the screen and trying an experiment, maybe to charge my coffee with health, wealth, and whatever else you said it could be. We will try it maybe later.
Yeah. That's a good idea, really. Yeah.
So
because I'll tell you why it is. I'll tell you why it's such a good idea. Because while you drink water, you are deeply involved in the process, and you are sort of relaxed, feeling more and more comfortable, and slightly plunging yourself in this meditative state called trance, which we are going to talk about later. Yeah. So, and another thing people think of when they hear this word hypnosis is, as you've said before, is stage and some actors or some hypnotists saying something to people and snapping their fingers, and their clients fall asleep, do some funny things, and then wake up without remembering anything of what has just happened. Yeah. And this is the reason why people are sometimes afraid of hypnosis, because they are afraid of losing control. They think they will fall down and do something strange, something weird, something which they could feel shamed after that.
Yeah, they will like look ridiculous and so on. Definitely hypnosis is associated with fear with most of people. Of course, not only ridiculous performance, but also fear, because everyone, I believe, is afraid of unknown. We're always afraid of unknown, something we cannot pre-calculate in advance.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's reveal the mystery. Let's unveil this issue. Actually, let's now, apart from jokes, go more professional in this side. How long have you been doing it, practicing such phenomenon as hypnosis in therapy in your work, Katerina?
Let me think. I think it's since the 2017. Yeah, it's been like 4 years. It's been
around
4 years now.
4 years already.
Around,
I believe you gained quite enough of experience. So why do you use it in your work? In which way is it really helpful? And why did you actually choose this direction? Not NLP generally. Why exactly this direction? Why have you chosen it? Why did you like it that much?
I like the instruments which work best and faster, and the ones which are natural. And like there are lots of other instruments in NLP, and I like a lot of them, and I also like the instruments of the image emotional therapy. But what is common about all of them is really this thing, it's trance or hypnosis. Because whatever the founder of all these spheres say, I still believe that all these techniques involve trance. And if you are good at inducting trance, at behaving in trance, at leading your patient inside of the trance, you're effective at doing all the other techniques, at using all the other instruments of this. That is why, because when I finished my, when I got my master's NLP master degree, I started practicing. I started using all the NLP techniques and instruments I learned, and I realized that I just need to be more profound in using trance. And that was the beginning of my trance journey. And then when I added the emotional image therapy to my bunch of instruments, I still continued using it together with hypnosis and trance things.
Logically. Catherine, I'm gonna come out with two questions now, listening to you. The first one, I'd like to distinguish the terms trance and hypnosis. Trance and hypnosis. For those listeners of ours who probably are not on the topic and have never heard actually those terms, maybe who have just switched on NLP radio and are absolutely newcomers in this sphere, am I correct? I understand that hypnosis is actually a process which is done under the person deliberately with some purposes, while trance is just a state a person is placed into. Could you please explain definitions? What is trance? What is hypnosis? Not to mix them up.
Yeah, these are very good and very important questions. And of course, there are several views and approaches to them, especially to the notion of hypnosis. So I'll do my best to cut the long story short for you and summarize the renderings I've come across till now, because really there are quite a few of them. Being put simple, very simple, trance is an altered state of mind. Full stop. In what way is it altered? In trance, your attention focus becomes selective. It's a state in which you are not aware of what is happening around you, because you are thinking of something else, usually of something which is inside of you. It is selective. It can be selective in different ways, but usually you don't see what's around, but are very deeply focused on what is inside.
Okay.
And let me now clarify what I mean. Can you now remember when you have had your first ice cream? How old were you when you had it, do you think?
Oh, I suppose around maybe 3, 4 years old. At least this is the age I was somehow conscious to remember anything at all. 3, 4, 5 years old, maybe. Can be mistaken.
3, 4, 5. Good. Very good. And what color are your shoes you're wearing? What color are the shoes you're wearing now?
Red color. This I know for sure.
That's good. Okay. Have you just noticed the shift of your attention from the place you are at the moment when I asked about ice cream?
Yes, sure. Yes, sure. Because I was trying to travel into the past, and I would say rather remote past. And then you suddenly got me back to here and now, and even in my body to look at myself, what I'm wearing. Yeah, it was very, very noticeable, even for me. Even for me.
Yeah. Was it easy? I'm asking you, and I'm asking our listeners. Was it easy to name your shoes color fast on the spot?
You know what? I will say,
For you,
maybe
maybe, yeah.
maybe a little too proud of me, would it be? However, I consider myself rather an aware person, to be rather aware. But still, it was not right on the spot. It was not in no time. It took some time. It did take some time, maybe a few seconds.
Yeah. So congrats, you've just experienced the trance. It's like I know that you are rather profound in this sphere, but for the ones who are new to it, it could have been their first trip to a trance, their first journey through the trance. So trance is a rather interesting state. It's half conscious. So we cannot see that it's unconscious. We cannot see that you are an absolutely conscious state, that you are in an absolutely conscious state. Now, it's similarly between sleeping and waking, in which your ability to function voluntarily may be suspended. But on the other hand, in trance, you can often do things you can't do in your ordinary state, and get an admission to the resources you have inside of you, but you cannot reach or just don't use, which is very important. Such a good thing about trance. It's not just a phenomenon. It's if you know what to do with this phenomenon, how to use it, it's like your own treasure inside of you. Treasure box.
Definitely. I'm starting to guess so. Ekaterina, I would like to use an opportunity and to share with our listeners and with you what I felt at this moment when we were performing the example with me. I mean, I was not unconscious, of course not, because I was listening to your voice. I was hearing myself. I realized where I was, where I was sitting, right at the table in that apartment. But at the same time, you're very right. I was not completely here. I was somewhere very deep inside of somewhere. I don't know where. This is very, very interesting point. Where I was, I don't know. But something happened to me when you just simply asked me to remember the ice cream and the shoes. Wow, that's impressive. Okay.
Yeah.
Catherine,
Yeah.
what else I would like to ask? Oh, you would like to continue. I'm sorry for interruption. Please move on. I'll ask later.
Yeah. I was just about to say that it is because the ice cream it was back there, and the shoes they were right here. So and even though we were not talking about some traveling, but it actually was it. It's been traveling in time. You had to think of trance comes every time you hear remember this or that, or think of just at the moment you start thinking about something that is not really around you, that about some of your experience, about something you've read about it's already trance. And the most amazing thing is that in trance we spend most of our lives. Really, trance states may occur involuntarily and unbidden. And as you have just noticed, by the way, like we were not planning this trance. I just asked when was it? Yeah.
We were not, absolutely. So to come up with more examples, I believe when we drive, we are in trance and sometimes rather deep, aren't we? When else? Probably a few more examples for our listeners. While driving, when just have woken up, when else can we find ourselves in trance?
When we study, when we focus our attention at something, when we watch TV, because when we watch TV, we may even not hear what someone is saying, when someone is calling us, and when working any sort of concentration of focusing our attention. When you focus it at one thing, you just skip lots of other things around you.
Right. So now moving a little bit back to my question. ago when I asked the definitions of trance and hypnosis. So let me a little summarize this block for those who are listening. If you are following us, dear listeners, I hope you are. So trance is an altered state of mind, as Ekaterina has just said, kind of changed. Yeah, for those who are not native speakers. Altered means changed, different, right? Altered state of mind. And hypnosis, it's, I believe, a process which is done by a professional, actually with the purpose to place another one in this state of mind, right?
Yeah, or one of the theory is like that. In fact, there are competing theories explaining hypnosis and related phenomena. And one of them is really, like you just said. In general, there are two groups of these theories. Altered state theorists see hypnosis as an altered state of mind or trance. And they think it's sort of synonyms, hypnosis and trance, like the same thing. Or we have just talked about trance, so we know what is trance, and they think that hypnosis is the same thing or a way of induction to it. Really, the way a therapist, actually what the therapist does, says, or just shows to arrange this state of mind in their client.
Yeah.
And in contrast, non-state theories see hypnosis as a type of a placebo effect or a redefinition of an interaction with a therapist or form of imaginative role enactment. So like there are really a group of theories who, like, the representative of which do not believe in the existence of trance and so on and so on, and they say, it's just like another way of interaction. It's like another format, another way of doing something, and so on. Like to be honest, to be more objective, we have to know that to show that there are two main groups of theories rendering to this notion.
Yeah, it has a right to exist, of course. Ekaterina, I would like to ask you to would you please clarify the term induct, because I'm sure a lot of people who are listening now, they, even native speakers, even British and Americans, they in this very context may not know what it means. You have used the word induct. Would you please be more specific in simpler words? What does it mean?
So in this sphere, it means that inducting. Actually, to induct means to say something, to use such a way of your behavior, of your interaction to your client, to use such a way that causes trance in your client. For example, I can say, I can choose a special voice. I can choose some special phrases. I can use some special words which I know are going to cause the state of trance.
Can we say to immerse, or something like to make him dive into the state? Are those synonyms, like to place him deeper, right? To induct. Okay. Ekaterina, we are getting extremely far, and the farther we move, the more interesting it becomes, our conversation. But unfortunately, we have only like 27 minutes for one program, and we shall definitely return and go deeper into this conversation further on. But for now, for this program, I still got a couple of more questions to ask you. And one more is about self-help. I'd like to highlight the block of self-help. First of all, to ask your experience. If you have chosen hypnosis, if you have chosen working with trance, I may assume that once it might have helped you yourself, and you kind of appreciated it and said, yeah, that really works. I'm going to share it with other people. How do you usually use it to improve your life? Maybe a couple of illustrations, how to self-help with trance.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really use it a lot. And since since the moment I like consciously started using it, learning it, and using it, I think with others, I started more consciously using it with myself, and I refused from most of the medications. I'm by nature, I'm quite a nervous person, and I used to have lots of sedative pills around me just in case. Just in
Oh,
case.
you did, really. You look
Yeah,
like a very self-balanced person. You really do.
yeah. I am very sensitive, as a very sensitive person, and I'm very easily I can lose this balance very easily, but that is why I can throw it back. And
Mhm.
these trance techniques and hypnosis have really helped me a lot since I've started using it. Since I started using it, I don't even have any sedative means at home. I
Wow, wow.
I don't.
I
I
think
have
that costs a
just
lot.
have it. I don't have it.
Hmm.
Sometimes yeah, I'm I can get nervous again, but I just sit down and I do some techniques that I know help other people, my clients, and they also help me. But you just have to do it, believe you in it or not. You just have to continue, and especially when you add up this emotion image therapy in the process, and together it works fantastic for me. Really, it's true. No, you can have some.
I believe so. Because no people would use an instrument, a tool, no matter how useful it is, how well known it is, just out of nothing. He will definitely choose and study it that thoroughly, that
Yeah,
with such elaboration, only when he needs it himself.
yeah,
So not out of the nothing did you begin to
of
learn it,
course,
and you
of
have
course.
learned it with the same professionalism as you study everything else. The
Thank you.
final point for today, Katerine, is, can a person, just anyone who just heard our podcast, use hypnosis with himself at home? Maybe there exists some kind of simple, primitive, short technique how to induct, as you said, yourself into that state and help yourself when you need it? Or only is it possible to be done with a specialist?
That's a very good question, and it's so obvious for me, but I think for others who are not into the topic, it's not so clear. But in fact, all our resources are inside of us,
Mm-hmm.
and really us who are in power of these resources. And of course, absolutely everyone, absolutely every person can learn to use them, to get reach of them, and to let them serve what they are meant to serve, because we have a world inside of us, really. And this is like I'll say some more words. This is like the introduction to some other topic, because there are in general 3 generations of NLP and 3 generations of hypnosis, and while the previous 2 ones were about were speaking about what is better, the conscious or unconscious or subconscious, and so on and so on. The last one joined them together, the 3rd generation of hypnosis and the 3rd generation of NLP, and put the gave the control to the person themselves.
Okay, okay, okay. I think that a lot of people who are listening now dream to try it, and maybe to use to persuade their own selves in something. For
Yeah.
instance, I would be happy to persuade myself never to eat sweets, to persuade myself to fully convince myself that I hate fattening food, that I love the regime and waking up early and other very strong things. It's not so easy to fight with, with your logic, with your conscience.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I believe we're gonna need many more programs with you, Ekaterina, and not only about
Perhaps.
hypnosis. Right, right.
Yeah.
We're closely, slowly moving to the end, and probably if there is something you wanted to say but didn't have a chance, probably you could add it up right now, and we will finish slowly. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the topic?
No, yeah. I just like to add just one thing. My personal opinion about trance and hypnosis is that I sometimes think about the group of theories which think it's not the truth, it's the placebo effect, and so on and so on. But I am deeply convinced that the placebo effect can only be when you believe in it. And if you believe in it, it will cause trance. And the placebo effect will work because of the trance. So I just feel that both groups of theories are about the same thing. It's like 6 and 3 two threes. The same. That's all I wanted just to say. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for inviting me here, for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you, our dear listeners, for staying with us, for listening till the end. And I really hope it's been helpful to you. Ask your questions and comments, and the next time we are going to answer all of them if we can, of course.
Right. Thank you so much, Ekaterina, for your time. That was unforgettable. Dear listeners, your likes are very welcome. What are the 3-5 associations with the word hypnosis from your side? We are expecting commentaries from you, please. Has anyone ever experienced hypnosis or trance? You're welcome to write it here below, down in the commentaries, please. Likes are welcome, reposts are welcome, and we hear each other in the next podcast. That was Olga Sarkisova and Ekaterina Vilkul. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Bye.